he didn't.
Girl, yes, he did.
Well, welcome to the podcast. Oh no, girl, yes. It's me, it's her, it's us. But guess what? We have a guest. We have a guest. And I'm really excited to bring this guest in. I have known him for some years, but I don't really know him. And he just went through some relationship tunnel stuff. And I want us to all get to know him together. So can we bring him in, girl?
Yes, yes.
Bring him in. Bring him on in. Bring him into the room. First of all, I don't want nobody hitting me up to my he cute. Don't do that, because that's not what we're here for. Okay. I'm not. Okay. Oh, he can hear us. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is Tony. Welcome to Oh No Girl Yes.
What's going on, ladies? What's going on, Miss Elliott?
Listen, so I have known him for many, many, many years. He is a wonderful, and he's a comedian, but he's an actor. I always tell him he's just an entertainer. He is really infectious personality, high energy guy. And he's a Gemini. So do we need to say?
Hey, look, I'll cash app you for that intro, for those accolades.
Yes, please do. And so Robin has never met you. And so I thought this would be the perfect process for us to kind of find out some stuff. So let me give you a quick synopsis.
Robin?
What's up? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Synopsis of what we do every week on Oh No Girl Yes is we talk about relationships, we talk about our personal dating relationships, we talk about things that people are discussing on social media, but we're always just kind of curious.
This is about relationships?
Did I not mention that? Yes, it is. You're here now. So here we go. Yeah, no. And so
I'm kidding.
I reached out to you because I was like, Tony, you posted some stuff recently on your social media. I would love to actually have a real conversation with you. So let me say, first of all, thank you for agreeing to do the show. Number two, this is not a male bashing podcast at all. Now, we do discuss our challenges with men, but I know you are a communicator. And so I'm hoping we can all our listeners can get some insights from the man's point of view in this particular situation, because ultimately we really only ever hear the woman's point of view, or we are that point of view. Okay.
Right. All right. Hey, no problem.
Okay. So now let me tell you what I consumed as a sometimes friend Facebook watcher, and then you tell me what actually happened. You got married recently. You posted your wife all over. Y'all was in love. Beautiful pictures. Beautiful family.
I was.
And then I noticed you weren't posting as much. You started posting like your TV wives because you were acting in some stuff, and I was like. And he keep posting these TV wives because I would get confused because you would say, oh, this is my wife, but it was like in this show. And I was like, oh, okay, I know that ain't his wife. And then you went post and said that you were divorced.
What was the time frame?
What was the time frame from when you were posting that you were married in love to when you posted divorce? How much time was that?
You know what? It was it was a little over a calendar year. But here's the deal. We got married on May 8th, 2020, but we were separated before May 8th, 2021.
Okay.
So
how long did you date?
But it wasn't long at all. Everything happened in a flash. Everything happened in a rush. And that's why that's one of the main reasons why we're not together now. Never rush. Haste make waste.
Okay, but let me ask you about that. Because we're around the same age, I think. I'm 46.
Yeah, I'm a little older than you.
Okay, so I have a theory that when I meet the one that wants to do it with me, I'm not going to take no long time. I've said that on the podcast. So I'm curious as what's the difference between it don't take all day to recognize sunshine and it being a rush? Because I don't think it does take a long time, but I understand that you can rush things. So what's the difference now, do you feel?
Well, I mean, it's like this, man. When you rush, I think the percentages are low. The success rate is low for people that rushed into it. But I feel like the people that succeeded and are succeeding that rushed into it, maybe not quite as quick as I did, but still when they go into it early, that's because they actually were the right combination. But when you rush into something and ignore signs along the way, or signs of red flags, then yeah, that's going to have an expiration date, and a rather quick expiration date. From my opinion, at least that's what happened. I ignored some signs.
Okay.
And there was some things about myself too that I like. I'll work it out. You know what I mean? But I ignored some serious red flags and tried to make it happen. And yeah, it failed miserably. And then COVID also too. COVID. We got married during the peak of the pandemic, the first wave.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did COVID came in, not only did COVID exploit physical health cracks, it also exploited or relationship and marriage, any cracks you might have had in that, because it tested you in so many ways. And with us rushing into it and already coming in pretty much damaged, it just obliterated us. You know what I mean? That, you know, it helped obliterate us. So I had like a perfect storm of issues versus positive things with mine. So, you know, we were doomed from the get-go, to be honest.
Do you think if you hadn't rushed, if you had taken time to get to know this young lady and she had taken time to get to know you, do you think you would have developed a successful relationship? Or do you think that, or do you blame the rush? Like, y'all shouldn't have gotten together at all. Y'all weren't the right people for each other.
You know, starting out, we thought we were, you know, everything, you know how it is when you first meet somebody and just, you hit it off and and it wasn't just the physicality. It's just like, oh, you like that? I like that too. You know, just that whole stardust, all that first thing, you know, all the early stuff. Yeah, I feel like, had we really gotten to know each other, we probably would have lasted longer, or it's possible we might not have gone any further. You know what I mean? It could have gone either way, but the way when trust gets broken early on and you try to work through that, then that really becomes a real challenge. And that's what happened. That's one of the main things that coming in, even before we got married, you know, basically my trust was broken by her, and I tried to work through it and just couldn't. It was hard. And it's the way it got broken too. I'm like, so that was the first red flag I shouldn't have ignored, and I probably should have kept moving on after that.
So what about your friends and family? When you move so fast, were they saying, don't do it, reconsider, read some literature on the subject?
I did hear a lot of that. I did hear a lot of that coming from, half, or a little bit over half of my family. Most of my family was like, yeah, you should, why are you rushing? And, you know, do this, do that. You know how it is. I'm a grown man. I do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it. Love y'all, but I'm doing what I gotta do, want to do. And then I had a couple family members right there like, go ahead, we in your corner, go for it. But yeah, it turned out to be bad. Trust me. Yeah.
And that's the thing. I'm very curious, because I do feel like I'm not gonna, if I date again, I'm not gonna date nobody in a long time. I feel like I would rather just let's pull the trigger and see. But I also don't want to be in the situation where you look back and you feel like you ignored too much. So I don't want you to go into her red flags beyond the trust issue. What were some of the red flags about you do you think she ignored? Because sometimes we ignore the red flags because we think it's going to change it, we'll fix it. Is there anything that was already about you that then she couldn't deal with, but you were like, hey, that was always there?
No, because I came in honest. Like I said, look, you know, because I was, you know, doing what I'm doing now. And I honestly, my red flag about myself, I was still working on some things with myself that I really felt should have been ironed out, or more solid and stable about myself before even bringing somebody into my life on a serious level. So that was my red flag about myself. I was like, okay, I was in the lane, like, okay, I'm good, I'm working on myself, get this together. And then if I decide to get meet somebody on a serious level, I'll be ready. So I pulled the trigger too soon on that regarding myself. But I told her coming in, I said, look, you know, I ain't balling, but you know, I got some debt of my own. You know, but hey, I'm still, you know, I'm all about you. And I was all about her. And I told her all that. She knew that coming in, that, you know, I had a few, let's say financial things going on. And I never lied about that. So I think, I mean, you know, COVID came in and shut me down. That really just,
and especially as an entertainer, that changed everybody's money.
That changed a lot. Yeah. And she still had a day job as well, because she's an actress too, but she was an actress as well, but she still had a day job, so she had that, and I had nothing. I was trying to get this and that. I started getting Zoom shows pretty quick, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But still, you know, I was like, gosh, man, I was in a bad place, man.
Is that how you guys met? Was through acting?
Yeah, we met on the set of a stage play production.
And did you pursue her heavily, or was it just a natural?
It was a natural flow. It was a natural flow.
Was this your first marriage?
No, it's my second one. Okay. I was married to I have a daughter. I was married to her mother years ago.
Okay.
He has a daughter at the University of Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Yes.
Roll Tide.
Yeah.
Roll Tide.
Yeah. Yes, she is.
How much would you say the pandemic played in your timeline? I know a lot of people are like, this is something we've never seen before. We don't know how this is going to play out. So let me just do all I can while I can. Was that your approach to this relationship, or how did that work out?
I think it more so impacted us by way of the whole shutting down my work, and more negatively anyway. But
okay,
it definitely we had more time around each other too. That kind of adds to it as well.
The divorce rates went up for the pandemic for people who had been married. Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier. It tested marriages that were around for years, and it broke up some of those. So the ones that rushed into it, like me, I bet it probably obliterated them too. But oh man, it definitely COVID played a part. I will say the positive silver lining of COVID was we couldn't have a guest list, so that kept that expense down. It was me, her, and the judge in the park in Centennial Park. But we had viewers. We had 100 and some viewers on Zoom. We got married on Zoom.
Oh, well, anyway, that is good. I think it helps you probably realize. I think some people stay together because they had the expense. Some people stay together because people bought gifts. Bobby and Whitney said they was gonna fight that thing out to prove us wrong.
Right.
It might have lessened it. I'm curious, would you be open to getting married again?
I'm not gonna say never. I mean, it's definitely something I'm not gonna rush into again. Because I was always that type of person. I would fall quick and hard. Mm-hmm. So now this last situation or episode that really slowed me up. So I'll be thinking wiser. Plus, I'm older now too. But I'll be thinking wiser and much more cautious before rushing into something like that. So I'm not gonna say never, but I'm not rushing into it.
So let me ask you this, and this is not about you specifically, because you've already shared more than most men will share about their mindset with a woman or whatever. What do you think as women? She's about 10 years younger than me. I'm 46. We're single. We've never been married, no kids, never been engaged, never been close to getting married. What do you think it is if you were going to give women some advice in dealing with men in your age range, and then if you were going to give men some advice? What would it be for both? Just from your own perspective and experiences.
Take your time. Well, basically the basic, take your time, get to know each other, get to know the person, as thorough as possible. I mean, being at our age, you don't want to take 10 and 20 years, of course, because that's not at our age. We have to shorten that. So you actually got to do a crash course in getting to know each other as much as possible. And being at our age, both men and women, we kind of, from our experiences, we kind of can assess things a little quicker than we were in our 20s or something, So get to know the person, take your time, and go based off of preferences of substance instead of shallow preferences, because you got two different preferences. Shallow preferences, that's anything superficial, looks, money, stuff that relationships or marriages can't stand on forever. You know what I'm saying? Go for character, beliefs. You got to share the same beliefs, I feel. Like I said, character. If you're true, a lot of people debate online now about love. I still feel like love is the absolute base, and then you stack respect, loyalty, and trust on top of love. Love, I think, is the glue that keeps it all together. And people always want to exclude that, and they want to treat marriages like businesses. Like, even a lot of businesses also go under too. So, you know what I'm saying? So you can't base it off of money. That's what most people are doing it off of now too. Because if that was the case, everybody that was together for money, they would still be together, but they crumble too. So make sure y'all love each other. I'm old. Maybe that's old fashioned or traditional, but that's how I am.
Yes, that's old fashioned and traditional. Bump some love right now. Love don't live here no more. And it ain't money for me either. I think for me, it's intentionality. The intention, like what are we doing and why are we doing it? As long as we stay on the same page with that, we're gonna work through all that other stuff because the intention is for us to enjoy life together, right? It's gonna
Yeah,
be
but,
stuff that come up that makes it harder to do. But if our intention is to do that, then we're gonna figure it out together.
yeah, but wouldn't love impact the intentions?
Yeah, love is great, but love comes and goes. Love is fickle. You can love someone and then hate them. You can be in love with someone and fall out of love. So what I'm saying, and it changes day by day. It's a lot of divorced people have gotten remarried to the people they divorced. You know?
Yeah, I think what Eunice is saying is like love is a choice that you have to make,
Right.
but that choice comes from intentionality. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're not always going to feel love.
A great example
yeah.
is like when people fall in
But it's a
love with your
choice.
best friend's husband, right? You could probably fall in love with anybody else's man if you open and available to that, right? But if you're not open and available to that, then you're not doing that. So I'm saying if you two people come together and we say we are open and available to this with each other, then we're getting to know each other. We're building friendship. We're building trust. We're building respect and honor and all that. So yes, love is in the mix. But if you try to base the majority of the connection off love, sometimes you don't even like that person, let alone love them.
No, I would say love got to be the base, in my opinion. All that is built off of the love foundation. You know what I mean? That's how I see it anyway. 'Cause I know when I love somebody, when I fall in love with somebody, that's all I see. That's all I know. And that's all I'm about. I don't give nobody else. I don't care about nobody else, you know?
Right.
So
Let me ask you, in your most recent, in your short marriage, when you say from the date of marriage to separation, at what point did you start feeling like you weren't going to be able to save it or that you didn't want to save it?
Maybe like, I don't know. Like I say, it was a few, wasn't even a year. I hate that. I'm ashamed to say it hadn't even been a year, but maybe some months into it.
And were y'all on the same page with that feeling of not being able, both of y'all felt like y'all couldn't save it?
Started because the communication was kind of bad. You know what I mean? It was like, I could feel it. I could feel that, the disconnect after a while. You know how it is when you person go off, they go somewhere and they always staying longer than they say because they're somewhere thinking to themselves instead of communicating what they're thinking with me, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? Now I'm starting to feel like, you know what? This is all one big mistake, you know what I mean? And like I say, it was just bad, man, early on, and it just grew. It was cancerous. A lot of stuff became toxic and cancerous. So I think, almost coming into that, when we separated around that time, I was pretty much kind of done mentally anyway. I mean, I still had feelings, but it was just crazy, man. Trust me.
And that's what's so interesting, because I believe all of us have come with red flags and come with stuff that we need to work on when we come into a partnership. And when we talk about it on this podcast, a lot of times people try, especially married women or even men, try to offer us that our expectations are too high or unrealistic or nobody's perfect or we got to be willing to work with somebody and we're like, we're open to all that. But what we're identifying as red flags or that would grow into a more cancerous situation is real for us. So a lot of times people try to dismiss when we say, yeah, but this is a problem. Hearing you talk, it's like, no, it's a thing and it'll become a bigger thing if you don't address it or honor it.
It just, I got tired of just the thing, how things were becoming and had became. I was like, you know what, this is not it. I made a mistake. I finally gave in. Like, yeah, I made a mistake rushing into this, and it just it's just crazy.
Moving forward, as you consider getting into a new relationship, maybe sometime in the future, whatever. A lot of people online are now talking about red flags and what things to look out for. And I'm not specifically talking about your most recent relationship, but just over the years, what have you learned and what red flags will you look for in the future if you decide to pursue a new relationship?
Well, just sincerity. If someone's truly sincere, coming from a place of sincerity, and maybe that goes into the intentions thing that y'all were talking about too. If that person really, if they're trustworthy, I'm big with trust thing. You know what I mean? Because if I feel like you're not completely trustworthy, it's gonna affect my efforts in the relationship. me personally, and it's gonna cloud my efforts. But yeah, I'll be looking for sincerity, trustworthy, how they, just how their character and behavior. That's for me. You know what I mean? If I feel like you coming from a place of sincerity and you trustworthy, I mean that's a big plus in my book.
Let me ask you: are you 100% trustworthy in relationships?
Yeah, I am. Now I've been on both ends of the spectrum. I have. I remember mainly one in my what that I would consider a serious, like real. Yeah, I was terrible in that. You know what I mean? So I have been on both ends of the spectrum, but most of my relationships, I was I was a good guy. You know what I'm saying? I was just about them, and I pretty much got played. You know what I mean? So
So do you have a theory that you get played because you're too nice?
It could be conceived that way. I perceive that way. I didn't really yeah, it could be. I can see where that could be the perception, because I'm a nice guy. You know what I'm saying? But and maybe I was a bit naive to a few things too. So
But see, I think that's what happens to nice guys is they get taken advantage of, and then they become the monster, right? And so,
I've heard that.
And that might have happened when they were 12. It might have happened when they was 25. It might have been happening after their first marriage. And then they become the monster that destroys everything that comes to them, whereas they feel like they didn't get a payoff for being a nice guy, right? So now I won't be the nice guy anymore. I'm going to be the one that's doing the destroying.
Yeah, I don't have that mindset though, but I do know what you're talking about. I've heard that and I've seen it. But no, I won't. I don't. That's not my mindset. I always go in each one basically reset overall, but you still kind of recognize, never get what you went through in the past, and you'll recognize it as you go on. Because there were some things. I was in a relationship. I didn't get married to the person, but I was in a relationship where I felt hard and fast and was all about that person before this last marriage, and I recognized some things that was similar. I'm like, this reminds me of what I was going through then, and I was right then. Back then in that relationship, I saw stuff and I tried to ignore it, but it was, a lot of infidelity type stuff, you know what I mean? And just a lot of smoke that I found out there was some fire back then. And same thing with this last situation. It's like, the similarities was there. And yep. So I just, like I said, I got out of it, and I'll just go forward, moving forward. I'll just look out for the same signs.
So I'm curious, because you say similarities, and we talk about it as PTSD. We didn't been through all of it because we actually are dating men, and y'all suck in general. So we try to look at not bringing whatever the last man did to the new situation, but like you said, you start seeing similarities, and we have to try to figure out how to respect what's the difference between PTSD or baggage and just experience and wisdom. It's like, wait, I don't have to go through this again to know that this is what's happening, versus, hey, well, he hadn't done it yet, so let him do it, so I'm not just bringing something from the past. It's a very fine line there.
Yeah.
Well, because it becomes PTSD when you allow it to affect what you got going on currently, and there's nothing going on. You know what I mean? But if there is something, then that's just, not necessarily baggage, but stuff you remember and you recognize it again. I mean, because you have, you can go through the same thing again with a different person, you know what I mean? But you can't go into it accusing them and they haven't done anything, you know what I mean? But you recognize the signs. You just recognize certain things like, that's familiar, so let me pause. But PTSD, I feel like, is when it just affects your everyday life or every relationship in the same way. And it's, even when there's nothing. And then there's times when you recognize it and it's actually a real thing, I mean, because, I know I do sometimes. And, women got this thing where there's a percentage that brags about them being better at cheating than men, you know what I'm saying? So, so, yeah. So I don't see where that's not a good thing either. You know what I mean?
I think that's a wonderful explanation. PTSD is when you are bringing something that hadn't happened versus recognizing something that's happening as something that has happened before. I think I received that.
Yeah.
Okay, look, and please, we got this on tape. Me agreeing with a man about something. Do we got this on tape?
We're gonna run that back.
Yeah, y'all are the worst people. So moving forward, do you have a timeline of when you would potentially allow yourself to be in a new relationship, or it's just whatever it happens, or like if it happened today, would you say no, it's too soon, or do you have no attachments to time or whatever the rest of your journey holds?
It's just whatever, man. I mean, I'm like I said, I won't be mad if I end up being single for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? I'll be good. You know.
Who you telling?
You know, so because yeah, I'm good. I probably start feeling like y'all, like you feel about us.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because if it sounds like it's been well earned, and so I'll let you have that. What we have found in our research, i.e. dating, is that men are already at a disadvantage as little boys who aren't allowed to fully express their full range of emotions. And then they grow up, and then the first person that they may have offered some type of connectivity to, it didn't work out. And men are not as resilient emotionally as women are, because it's like, this happened to me that one time, and I said, never again. I will never have that happen again. And for us, we're like, well, that happened again. Let me go lick my wounds, and hopefully I can figure it out next time.
Yeah, I guess
going
it all depends.
More hopeful, I think.
It all depends, you know, on what you how you came up to. You know, everybody don't have the same examples coming up either. Their parents, a lot of people came up with, you know, parents weren't together, and then there are those that came up with parents that the ideal setup. They had both of their parents. They last for a long time, and they go on to do the same thing. And then it's what their father also instilled in the men coming up as well. You know what I'm saying? You lead by example. And also, there are fathers that instilled in their sons too how to have his own family. So you know, the ones that came up without a father, it's a little tougher because if some of them might have gotten, who knows how they got educated. It all depends on. That's how everybody's affected. When we're in that imprint process as kids coming up, a lot of stuff relationship wise is imprinted to us, and it could be good or bad, and it affects our behavior coming up unless you know can somehow learn on your own. But that usually, it just depends, man. You know, I mean, that's how it is sometimes, man.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot. We all shooting in the dark, hoping that we hit the perfect pig.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, you try not to let our past situations, if they're bad, make us bitter. You know what I mean? And start looking at each other like, as I see people on the internet, especially always fighting over each other. I mean, fighting against each other, men and women. They sound like little kids. They look like little kids then. They going back and forth on the post. And all of them, when they be fighting and going back and forth, really that's a cry for, they really want a relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. They really want a relationship, but then
they want something they can trust and believe in, and they just don't. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That anger comes from a place of hurt. For sure.
And it's very disappointing because it's like, look, y'all, are we trying to be together or are we not? And we do not have to sit here and argue men versus women.
That's not helping the case.
Yeah, this really weird, gross thing, especially online, this versus.
I saw it again last night before I went to bed on Twitter, and I was just disgusted. I said, let me just log off. I just can't.
It's the worst thing. It's the worst thing. So Tony.
We lost Tony.
Have we lost Tony? All right, so I think we lost Tony Tone, but you can find him online on Instagram at comedian Tony Tone. That's TonyTone. Facebook comedian Tony Tone, and Twitter Tone Tone the comic. Okay, so find him online. Listen, don't shoot your shot, ladies. He needs to heal. But we really appreciate anytime a man comes onto the podcast. We be like, you coming into the lines, then, bro. Right. I think it was a good conversation. He actually, like I said some stuff that made some sense. So I get it. I appreciate it. All right. So y'all, until next time, you know, if we're always looking for guests, by the way, we don't have them on often, but sometimes if you have an interesting story, or maybe you want our insights on your situation, we will give you our opinion on your stuff that ain't got nothing to do with us all day. Let us know, especially if it's interesting and juicy and messy. Well, let's talk about it. But in the meantime and in between time, oh no, he didn't.
Girl, yes, he did.